Okay, let's offer respect to Prabhupada. Om Jnanatamandasya Gananjana Shalakaya Chakshurmalatam Yaina Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. I was born in the darkest ignorance, and my spiritual master has kindly opened my eyes with a shining torchlight of transcendent knowledge. I therefore offer my respectful obeisances to his lotus feet. Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. So yesterday was the anniversary that Prabhupada departed from this world in 1977 in Vrindavan. So he left this world in 1977 at this time of year, and in Vrindavan. So that was honoured. That day was honoured yesterday. Very nice, very special day.
Your Guru Maharaj wrote a thing on Dandavats. Your Guru Maharaj is Giri Raj.
Yeah, correct.
Yeah, he wrote a thing on Dandavats. I read.
Okay.
Like a homage. It was really
okay.
nice.
I'll check it out. Nice.
Yeah, it's nice.
Yeah. Nice. Okay, so we're continuing our reading of Bhagavad Gita from Chapter 9, entitled The Most Confidential Knowledge, Text 4. Text 4. So text 2 talks about persons that take to this path of devotional service, and ultimately they achieve going back to Godhead and complete happiness in this world, and then at the end of this life go back to Godhead. And text 3 talked about those that don't take to this path. What happens to those that don't have faith in this path of devotional service? And it mentions here that they come back again to the material world, so they have to take birth again. And those that take to devotional service, they can get out of this material world. So text 4. Okay, we can read the Sanskrit. You ready? We'll just wait till people come back from wherever they are. Oh.
How do I look at a text?
Text?
No, this is on.
Go back. Where is that? No. Yeah, there is a...
Okay. Back on action.
Touch it.
And there's a text here.
I just realized we've actually done text 4 as well. We've done text 4.
Yeah. Message or?
No, I want to check it.
Yeah, this is the message.
So we'll go on to text 5.
I just...
But they haven't sent any.
Yeah, I just saw it come up.
Yeah, I can't see it. This is the text here. See, there's the
no,
text.
not on Skype, on my phone.
On your phone. Then you have to go back to the screen. Where are you going to? Yeah. You go to normal screen. How do you go back to normal screen?
What are you two doing?
She wants to see if there's some text coming on her phone. So she wants to see that who's that. Okay. You can just hit that again. It'll become back to that.
Well, now I've lost it. I want to go back to it.
Where
it's an important check.
Okay,
just...
go back. And,
That's okay. If you have to dip out for a minute,
no,
that's fine.
I don't. It's all good.
Yeah.
We finished at 4:30. Is that correct?
Around there. Just about to storm here. It's been like 35 degrees in Newcastle today, okay?
Wow.
And,
Okay, going to be a storm soon. Huh?
all of a sudden it's just, it was really hot, and now like it's really grey and thundering.
Oh,
And it's just
yeah.
about to, you know, when it's really hot, and it
Yeah.
could be a big storm, I think.
Yes. Cool it down again.
Yeah.
When it overheats. Yeah.
It's kind of unusual because we've had quite cool, like it's been nice during the day, but not 35 degrees, you know, that's
Okay.
a bit hot.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. Okay, no, that's okay. Okay, we ready to go? Okay, so yeah, we did text 4, I just remembered. So that talks about how this whole universe is pervaded by Krishna's energy. It's energy meaning with no form. So without a form, Krishna's energy pervades this whole universe. And he's saying that everything is inside of Krishna, but Krishna is not inside of everything. So that seems a bit inconceivable, but we discussed about that. And Prabhupada gives a good example how he gives the example of a king and the kingdom. So everything in the kingdom is working under the influence, under the control of the king, right? So the whole kingdom is working under the influence and control of the king, but you wouldn't say the king is everywhere in the kingdom. That's not going to happen. The king is just sitting in his palace, but the whole kingdom is running under his control. So in the same way that everything is working under the influence of Krishna's energies, under his control, but he's not everywhere. So that's what was in text 4. So we'll go on text 5, which is also a similar subject. We can read the Sanskrit. Nachamam stani bhutani.
It's on 4th or 5th?
5th. Yeah, we did 4. We did
Yeah.
4 2 weeks ago.
Nachamasthani bhutani
Pashyame yogamaishvaram.
pashyame yogamashra
Bhuta brinnacha bhutasto.
bhuta prinacha bhutasto
Mama ma bhuta bhavana.
ma bhuta bhavana. And yet everything that is created does not set in me. Behold, opulence, although I am the maintainer of all living entities and although I'm everywhere, I'm not a part of this cosmic manifestation. For myself is the very source of creation.
So Krishna is the source of everything, and he says that. We can look at chapter 10, text 8, where Krishna says he's the source of creation also.
I'm the source of all spiritual and material worlds. Everything animates. The wise who perfectly know that engage in my devotion service and worship me with all their hearts.
So yeah, Krishna is the source of everything, not only the material world, but the spiritual world also. And Krishna also says there he maintains the material world. So he's the source of the material world, and he maintains everyone in the material world. So there's 8,400,000 species of life in the universe, and Krishna's maintaining all of them. And that's from demigods down to little bugs that you can't even see. So he's maintaining all of them. He's providing the food. Like Prabhupada mentions, Krishna is feeding an ant, like 1 grain of sugar, and he's feeding an elephant like 1 cubic meter of food. So according to what they require, Krishna is providing all the necessities of life for all the different living entities. However, so even though everything comes from him and he's maintaining everything, but he doesn't live here in the material world. Just like in a prison, would you expect to see that the prime minister, the president, or the king is living inside the prison? You ever find that? You'll never find that. You'll never find that the leader is of a country or whatever is living inside the prison. So the material world is compared to a prison house. So God is not living in the prison house. He's living in his own place, which is a very wonderful, beautiful place, which is called Vaikuntha, where there's no anxieties. That's the meaning of Vaikuntha. There's no anxieties. And everything there is eternal, full of knowledge and bliss, which is called Sat Chit Ananda. Sat means eternal, Chit means full consciousness, full knowledge, and Ananda means bliss. So that's where Krishna lives, in a very beautiful place. And it said all the houses there are made of jewels. All the houses are made of jewels called Chintamani and so forth, diamonds and rubies and emeralds and so forth. And all the trees, the desire trees that fulfill all desires. And the cows, like the one behind Gail, the cows are Surabi cows. They can provide unlimited quantities of milk and different flavors or whatever you want. If you want strawberry flavored milk or mango flavored milk, or even if you wanted something other than milk, they can also give that also. They can fulfill any desires. And the trees fulfill all desires, and it's just a wonderful place. So that's where God lives. That's where Krishna lives. He doesn't live in the prison. But however, he can come here, and he does. So we know Krishna came 5,000 years ago. We know that Lord Chaitanya came 500 years ago. We know Lord Nrsingadev came millions of years ago. Ram came 2 million years ago. So occasionally the boss comes here, you know, occasionally God comes here and he displays different pastimes. Why does he come? Is to attract us back to the spiritual world. And we looked at that the other week, you know, those famous verses, 4th chapter, text 7 and 8, which is saying, why does he come? Does anyone remember? Anyone remember the three main reasons why he comes?
Whenever it's, the one of them, yada yada hi dharmasya.
Yeah.
Then
what about the next one? Puritranaya sadhunam vinashaya chatuskutam. Dharma samstapanataya sambhavami yuga yuga. So what does that mean? The reasons are? Why does God come?
Protect the devotees.
Protect the devotees.
Yes.
Restore pure and get rid of the demons.
Yes, very good. Protect the devotees, get rid of the demons, and get us back on track. When society goes off track, away from religion, then goes back on track. And modern day religion is not necessarily back on track. It's often off track also, because, you know, the different religions just fighting amongst themselves, quarreling. That's the nature of Kali Yuga, so much quarreling and fighting and disharmony and no unity and everything like that. But real religion means, you know, complete surrender to God, you know, to knowing God and loving God. But most even religious people, forget about those that are not religious, but even religious people, if you ask them who's God, most can't even answer who is God. And if you don't know who is God, then what is the question of loving God? Think about that. Think about that. Is it possible to love someone that you don't even know anything about them? Like if someone said, Abai, tell us about your wife. What's her name? I don't know. What does she look like? I don't know. What color is she? I don't know. You know, what does she like to do? I don't know. Then, I mean, how could she be my wife? You know, so it's like that. How can you love someone you don't know anything about them? So even most religious people.
What he does, we know about the Krishna, where he lives, what he eats, what he does, and what he likes. So we know that we can love him.
Yeah, so that's the beginning of religion. When you have knowledge about who is God and where does he live, what does he do, you know, who are his friends, all that information is necessary if you're going to love someone, you know. So I mean, like, you might, most of you would have heard about Rukmini. So when Krishna was on this earth, she was the first wife of Krishna of all the 16,108. And
We love that. We should know who's the manufacturer, where the car runs, what car eats, what sort of petrol, everything we know in order to love that.
yeah, so, you know, before you can have love of anything, you need knowledge first. So first you will need knowledge. But most even religious people don't have even the basic knowledge about God. So how is it possible to love God? And that's why we see the end result is they just end up fighting and so forth. But yeah, Rukmini, how did she end up developing love for Krishna? Great sages like Narada Muni would come to her father's palace, Bhishmaka, and would be glorifying Krishna and telling explaining how beautiful Krishna is, what his form is so beautiful, and how wise he is, and how strong he is, and how famous he is. So like that, hearing about all of Krishna's opulences, how opulent he is, then she naturally became attracted to Krishna by hearing about all these things. But if you don't hear about any of those details about God, or even worse, you hear some wrong details about God, like a lot of Christians' understanding of God is that he is, how does he look young or old from a Christian point of view? Is God looking young or old?
Young.
Really? My understanding from Christians is that God is an old man with a beard. He's like a really old man with a beard. And is that very attractive? Are you going to fall in love with an old man with a beard? Because, I mean, intellectually, of course, we think, oh, well, God is the first person, so he must be looking really old, right? Like seriously old, a really white-haired, you know, old person with a beard. But no, it's not like that. Even though Krishna is the oldest person, but he's said to be Nava Yovana. Nava Yovana means eternally youthful. He's ever fresh youth. Krishna never looks older than 16 years old. He never looks older. If you see a picture of Krishna looking more than 16 years old, that's not bona fide. He's never, even though he's the oldest person, but he never looks older than like a teenager. He's just always young and beautiful. And in the spiritual world, even Krishna's servants are also looking like that, also looking very young and very youthful. And that's Krishna's spiritual form. But yeah, so basically, yeah, society's really off track. So God comes to this world when society goes off track, and he brings it back on track. And that's why he's left us with the Bhagavad Gita, so to help us get back on track and have the proper knowledge. So yeah, generally, like he's saying in this verse, I am not part of this material manifestation. So though everything is made up of his energy, but he himself in his entirety is not here. So let's read the purport and see what Prabhupada says.
Sorry, I've got two scared dogs here. From there's all this thunder and the dogs are all like, "Ah."
Yeah, noises, they, you know,
Yeah.
really big dogs, yeah.
Yeah, they're freaking
I
out.
can relate to that. We have the same situation with our dog. Okay, so Gail, do you want to start reading the purport, the first paragraph?
The Lord says that everything is resting on him. Mat Shani Pani. Be misunderstood. The Lord is not directly concerned with the maintenance and sustenance of this. material manifestation. Sometimes we see a picture of Atlas holding the globe on his shoulders. He seems to be very tired holding the great earthly planet. Such image should not be entertained in connection with Krishna's upholding this created universe. He says that although everything is resting on him, he is aloof. The planetary systems are floating in space, and this space is the energy of the Supreme Lord. But he is different from space. He is differently situated. Therefore, the Lord says, although they are by inconceivable energy, as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, I am aloof from them. This is the inconceivable opulence of the Lord.
So, any really good leader, is he running around like a headless chicken, doing everything himself or herself?
No, they
A really good leader.
They delegate.
Yeah, delegate. They delegate. Okay, mate, you're going to wash the dishes. Okay, mate, you're going to clean the floor. Okay, mate, you're going to serve out the meal. You're going to take care of the maintenance of the building. You're going to do the gardening. You know, so they'll delegate all these different jobs. That's, you know, good leadership. So Krishna's like that. You know, do you ever see a picture of Krishna doing any work? He's just playing his flute. He's dancing with his girlfriends, playing his flute, you know, and herding cows. That's all you'll ever hear about Krishna doing. No hard labor like that. But Krishna has so many energies, so many personalities. When we say energies, all these energies have a person in control of them. There's a person in control of the energies. So he has energies of knowledge, and there's a person there. And we know, like, one of them is Saraswati. So Saraswati is the goddess of learning, and she's in control of all kinds of knowledge and education like that. And he has energies of strength also. And we know Balaram, Krishna's first expansion, and it's said that Balaram's energy actually is the foundation of all the spiritual planets, all in Vaikuntha, all the spiritual planets, all that's based on the energy of Balaram. And the material universe is also, it's one of Balaram's, and then Balaram expands. So Krishna's first expansion is Balaram. Then Balaram expands into Anantasesha. So Anantasesha is like a serpent with many hoods. And it said each one of those hoods holds up one universe. So each universe is on a different head of this Anantasesha, which has unlimited heads. So he has unlimited heads, and each one holds a universe on top. So Krishna's energies are doing all that hard work. Like, you know, it was mentioned about Atlas. So we hear in Greek mythology about there's this god Atlas that holds the planet on his shoulders. But actual description is given in the Vedas that Balaram's expansion in Anantasesha is holding the universes on his different heads like that. So yeah, Krishna has so many very expert and responsible staff or servants that carry out, you know, all the different, you know, services that are required in the spiritual world and in the material world. And he's just enjoying, just like any real big CEO or whatever of some, you know, petroleum company or something like that. They're just playing golf. They don't do anything else. They play golf and go out on a yacht and sail around the world. And all their, you know, staff members are doing all the hard work every day in the office. But you'll hardly ever find them in the office. Maybe once a year they might go or something like that. And but they're just having a good time, you know. But overall, I mean, they're in charge, you know, they're in control of everything. But they don't have to do, you know, all the hard work. Does that make sense? Anyone want to say anything about that?
I guess the only hard work we've heard of him doing, besides driving the chariot, is fighting the demons and, yeah, using his weapons and things. But he probably doesn't find that as hard anyway.
Okay, that brings up an interesting subject. Good that you brought that up. It's actually said that Krishna never leaves Vrindavan. But then you might say, but no, but he went to Mathura to kill Kamsa. And then after that, he set up Dwarka and established the Yadu dynasty in Dwarka and married all those queens. But that's actually said to be an expansion of Krishna, not actually Krishna. The original Krishna remains in Vrindavan. He never steps a foot out of Vrindavan, according to the great spiritual authorities. But that's an expansion of Krishna called Vasudeva Krishna. So it's actually four-handed Vasudeva Krishna goes to Mathura and then to Dwarka and then, is busy, killing all those demons. Although we see that Krishna did kill demons also in Vrindavan, but it's mentioned that actually all the incarnations, all of Krishna's incarnations are present with Krishna when he comes to the material world. So when Krishna comes, Nrsimhadeva is there, Varahadeva is there, Kurmadeva is there, Ram is there, Matsya is there, so they're all there. And it's said that Narayan is there and all these other incarnations, they're present with Krishna. And then they're doing all this difficult work if it's required to kill demons and things like that. So it's interesting. Even though we think that Krishna kills demons and it might be hard work, but actually he's still got other energies that do any of those difficult jobs. So yeah, Krishna's got it all sorted. He's got so many, wonderful assistants. One time, this Vasudeva Krishna was in Dwarka, and some terrified residents of Dwarka, his devotees, came into the room, and he was playing chess at the time with a devotee, and the terrified residents said, "There's a demon coming, Krishna, save us from this demon." And Krishna didn't want to interrupt his chess game, so he just summoned his disc weapon, Sudarshan Chakra. He just has to think about it, and Sudarshan, this terrifying, blazing disc weapon, came into the room, and Krishna just said, "Go and deal with the problem. Go and deal with this demon." And then Sudarshan Chakra just dealt with it. He didn't even have to get up out of his chair and do anything, so his weapon did everything. So even if Krishna's using weapons, it's not like hard work, because his weapons are personalities. His disc is a personality, his club is a personality. Even when he carries a lotus flower, that's a personality. So his conch shell is a personality. So everything in the spiritual world is a personality. It's not just an inanimate object like in the material world. Like I'm sitting on a chair, right? It's not alive. But in the spiritual world, the chair is alive. The table is alive. Everything is conscious. Everything is a personality. So Krishna just engages these different personalities who are all his servants and doing service for him. They're all doing service for him. And it is said that Krishna has one kind of suffering, which is, we don't normally think about that, but it's a fact that Krishna has one kind of suffering only. Do you know what that is? Any idea? What's one pain that Krishna does experience?
When somebody is hurting one of his devotees.
Yes, that's a very good point. Yeah, definitely. But even looking more general than that, that's very specific. Even looking more general than that, Krishna feels the suffering of all of the souls in the material world. That because we're all his parts and parcels, right? Prabhupada explained it once in a lecture in a very interesting way. Just like your little finger, if there was one pin went into your little finger, your whole body feels that, right? It's like your whole body feels the pain of that one tiny part of your body. Put a little pin in your finger and the whole body feels that. So Krishna is the whole. He's the absolute truth, which in Sanskrit is called Advaita. So he's the complete absolute whole, the absolute truth. But he is conscious of everything, all the parts. So when the part is suffering, then the whole feels that. So it's said that Krishna feels that pinprick, just like we do in our body. You know, we feel that pinprick in our tiny part of the body. So, and that's one reason why, you know, like Gail mentioned devotees. So that's one reason why devotees are so precious to Krishna, so dear to Krishna, because they try to help remove that pinprick in Krishna's body. Or they try to help the souls that are suffering in the material world to get out of the material world and go back to Godhead. So they're always very active. The devotees are very active to try to help people become Krishna conscious. And if they become Krishna conscious, then very soon their suffering will be over, and they can, in due course of time, when they die, then they'll go back to Godhead and no more suffering ever again. And then Krishna will be so happy. Krishna's so happy. You know, so the devotees understand that pain that the Lord is feeling. And don't think God is like some hard-hearted stone or rock. Actually, Prabhupada said Krishna is the most sensitive person. You know, we have different levels of sensitivity. Usually it's said women are more sensitive than men. Men tend to be more into logic and reasoning and things like that, and women more emotional, you know, more emotions are more stronger and everything like that. But Krishna is actually the most sensitive. Has the most strongly developed emotions. So he feels very much, you know, anyone suffering like that. So, but Krishna is still the supreme enjoyer. He's definitely enjoying. He doesn't have any hard work to do. But yeah, he cares about us. He loves us so much, and he doesn't like it that we're suffering in ignorance and illusion in the material world. And that's why he comes, you know, why does Krishna come? To try to help us to get out of the material world and finish the suffering and go back to the spiritual world and be happy. And Krishna's devotees also have the same mission. They have the same mission as Krishna, to try to wake us up, you know, enlighten us and put us on the right path to getting real happiness. But it was good that you brought that up, Gail. Thank you for that. That's very nice. Okay, let's read the next paragraph. Bhakti Mala in Nirukti.
In the Nirukti Vedic dictionary, it is said, the Supreme Lord is performing inconceivably wonderful pastimes, displaying his energy. His person is full of different potent energies, and his determination is itself actual fact. In this way, the personality of Godhead is to be understood. We may think of doing something, but there are so many impediments, and sometimes it is not possible to do as we like. But when Krishna wants to do something, simply by his willing, everything is performed so perfectly that one cannot imagine how it is being done. The Lord explains this fact. Although he is the maintainer and the sustainer of the entire material manifestation, he does not touch this material manifestation. Simply by his supreme will, everything is created, everything is sustained, everything is maintained, and everything is annihilated. There is no difference between his mind and himself, as there is a difference between ourselves and our present material mind, because he is absolute spirit. Simultaneously, the Lord is present in everything, yet the common man could not understand how he is also present personally. He is different from his material manifestation, yet everything is resting on him. But this is explained here as yogam base for the mystic power of the Supreme Personality of Godhead.
So Prabhupada's explaining how Krishna actually manages everything and controls everything, and just by his desire it all happens automatically. So he, just by his determination, he uses the word determination. So it's like that, you know, you make a like now there's thousands of people in New Zealand that have made a determination that I'm going to walk from the top of the North Island to the bottom of the South Island. It's about 3,000 kilometers. It takes about 5 months. So they have that determination. I'm going to walk to the bottom of the South Island, but they don't all make it. You know, they don't all make it. And Prabhupada makes that point, you know, that we make so many plans, but not all of them work out, isn't it? And mostly if I look at my life, you know, I'd say that the majority of my plans didn't work out, you know, so it's quite often, you know, we might get the opposite of what we want some of the time. And like everyone has the determination, right? Like what we see in the movies, right? What does it say at the end of the movies? You see the man and the woman walk off into the sunset, and then it says they lived happily ever after. But that only happens in the movies, not in real life, you know. So we have the determination to live happily ever after in the material world, but it doesn't work like that. We often get the opposite. But Krishna, he just has a desire, and it just happens. But also, we shouldn't get disheartened about that, like, you know, that our plans, our desires, they often don't work out. We should just understand that's the nature of the material world. It's not there's something wrong with us. That's just the nature of the material world. The way that the material energy is set up is that it gives us the opposite to what we want. What do we generally want? What's the basic thing that every soul wants?
Wow.
Oh, peace.
Yeah, that's all part of it. Yeah, but I mean, basically, I was going to say happiness, but yeah, that's all part of it. That if we have, you know, love, then we'll be happy, and if we have peace, we'll be happy. But yeah, we just want to be happy, and but what does the material world dish out to us? The opposite, you know, unhappiness, you know, like that. So that's just the way the material world works. And it's important as Krishna conscious devotees to understand that, and not to feel frustrated or upset when we often, you know, get the opposite to what we want. Now, if you don't want to end up getting all these opposite results to what we desire, what's the secret? If you don't want to keep getting the opposite to what you want happening to you again and again and again, what's the secret to making sure that doesn't happen?
Change what you're doing.
Change what you're doing. Okay. Like the way the material energy is set up, I'll just try to be more specific. You have a material desire, and the material energy will take that desire and give you the opposite result to what you expect, to what you want. And I said usually it's happiness, right? Is what we want. We have a desire. I'll build this big house and I'll be happy. I'll get this new car and I'll be happy. I'll get this latest iPhone and I'll be happy. I'll get this boyfriend, girlfriend, and I'll be happy. I'll get this food and I'll be happy, right? So we have different desires and we all want to be happy. So, but how can we avoid that? When you have a material desire and the material energy gives you the opposite of what you want, how can that be avoided? what should we, how can we change that?
Try and get rid of our material desires, I guess.
That's it. That's it. So that's how a devotee deals with it, is don't have the material desire. If you don't have the material desire, the material energy is not going to work on you. It's not going to be able to work you over. It can, Maya can only work you over if you have a material desire, and she'll give you the opposite. But if you don't have a material desire, then she can't do anything with you. You're out of her jurisdiction. Her jurisdiction is those souls that have material desires. She's going to, put the thumb screws on them and frustrate the hell out of them to the point they become completely exhausted. And at that point of becoming completely exhausted and frustrated and completely feeling, forlorn and helpless and hopeless and everything and suffering, then they eventually surrender to Krishna. And that's part of Krishna's plan too. And that's why it's set up like that, to frustrate us, because that brings people around to Krishna consciousness. I mean, if we look in our own history, we'll probably find out that probably the main reason why we came to Krishna consciousness in the first place is that we were suffering, and in that suffering we became very humble, and we took shelter of the devotees, and we took shelter of prasadam, and we took shelter of a temple or whatever, Prabhupada's books, the holy name, like that. And so that's Krishna's arrangement through Maya, is to frustrate our material desires so that we end up turning back to Krishna. So that's also ultimately a positive thing. But also, if you don't want Maya to work on you in that way, then if you don't have material desires, then Maya won't be giving us out the opposite to what we want. And of course, you can't live without desire. That's not possible, because we're a conscious soul. We're not like a rock. But what we can do is transform those material desires into spiritual desires. Instead of, I want a house for myself, then you think, well, I want to build a house for Krishna. What do we call that? It's called a temple. Instead of, I want to eat nice food for myself, to think I want to cook nice food and give nice food to Krishna, like that. And then you won't find you get the opposite result to what you want. Then you'll find you automatically get happiness and peace and love and all those things that you desire. Are you off, Gail?
Sorry, I have to head off.
Yeah, sure. Lovely to see you again. You take care. Have a lovely week. Thanks for joining in.
See you, Gail.
Okay.
But what about spiritual desires as well? I mean, they don't always work out either.
Well, if they don't work out, then we should see.
You have to be
Okay, in two phones. Gulshan Gulshan had expanded himself into two. So yeah, if we have a spiritual desire, I want to serve Krishna by opening a temple in the middle of Australia. Okay, I want to. What is that famous mountain or rock that people keep talking about? Very sacred of the Aborigines.
Ayers Rock.
Okay, I want to open a 10-story temple in Ayers Rock, with a restaurant in it, and 108 room guest house, and a temple room that can fit 2,000 people at a time in it. Okay, that's what I want. It's a spiritual desire. It's for Krishna, and it didn't happen. Okay, so why didn't it happen? Well, you should see that Krishna didn't want it to happen. We might think this is what Krishna wants, but maybe it wasn't what Krishna wants. Because a spiritual desire means you do what Krishna wants. So it's not just that this is what I think Krishna wants, but it means it's actually what Krishna wants. So maybe what you're thinking Krishna wants is not what he wants. Maybe he wants you to do something else. So that if that didn't work out, you building a temple in Ayers Rock, then, you know, you try something else until you find out what Krishna wants. And what Krishna wants, that will work.
Yeah.
What Krishna wants, that will work. And but the best way to be sure what Krishna wants is just check it with advanced devotees. Advanced devotee, like the spiritual master, has a much better idea about what Krishna wants. You know, as a neophyte devotee, we might have so many ideas, but it might not exactly be what Krishna wants. And I've even seen pictures of sometimes devotees dressing up the deities in the temple in like jeans.
Why?
That is that what Krishna wants? No, that's a speculation.
No.
That's a mental concoction. So we've got to be careful.
Yeah.
You know, like if Prabhupada had seen that, he would just say immediately, this is not what Krishna wants. Take it off and put a dhoti on. You know, so Krishna likes wearing a yellow dhoti. But even the color, we even know what color Krishna wants. He likes to wear a yellow dhoti, not a red dhoti, not a blue dhoti, not a pink dhoti, but a yellow dhoti. You know, so like that, we should know from the advanced devotee what Krishna wants. And if we have any doubts, we should approach an advanced devotee, and from them we can get a good idea what Krishna wants. And if we're sincere in our chanting and our devotional service, and that Krishna in our heart will also direct us. But we have to be careful about that, because unless we're actually advanced, and like Gulshan's favorite verse, 10:10, which means there's two criteria before Krishna actually, that verse is saying, he basically talks to you. He enlightens you in your heart. The two criteria are, you have to serve Krishna constantly and with love. And if you have both of those, then he'll talk to you. But if you're not serving Krishna constantly, and if it's not yet with love, it's just sort of out of duty, but not real love, then it could well be it's your mind talking to you and not Krishna. But yeah, Krishna talks to us when we're very advanced in those two areas of being, you know, always serving Krishna and with love, and then he'll talk to you. But it's just safer until we get to that point to just consult with advanced devotees. You know, Guru Maharaj, or, you know, you have some, you know, devotees that you trust or whatever. You know, I was thinking to do like this. What do you think? Does that sound like a good idea? And if they're in agreement, well, that's a good sign that maybe it's what Krishna wants. And if they say, no, mate, that's crazy, Abai, you should never do that, you know, then that's a good sign that you shouldn't do it. It's not what Krishna wants.
Yeah,
So,
you sort of have enough humility though too, don't you, to listen to people as well.
Of course, yeah, you have to, yeah. Unless you want to, like we was talking about, suffer, because that's what suffering does. It makes us humble. So if we are proud, and proud means you don't listen to good advice. So if you are proud and you don't listen, then Maya will just cut you down and make you humble through suffering, and then you'll listen, you know, which is good. So eventually we'll get to that point where we listen, you know, so that's a good point to come to. And once we get crushed a bit by the material energy, our pride comes down. Yeah. So that's the thing, that Krishna always gets what he wants. And that's what this is saying in this purport. Just when he has a determination, okay, I want this to happen. I want the material world to begin, to be created. Just by him desiring it, okay, let's create the material world. It just happens. Do you know how Krishna creates the material world? What does Krishna do to create the material world? I'll give you a clue. Which sense does Krishna use to create the material world? Is it with his arm, his leg, his nose, his mouth, his ears, his eyes, his tongue, his head?
Don't know.
Krishna just looks over the material energy. He just glances. It says he glances. He glances over the material energy. And that impregnates the material energy with all the souls just by him looking at it. So he's actually he injects all the souls into the material energy just by his eyes glancing on the material energy. Just like the man impregnates the woman's womb with the semen through his genitals. So through the genitals, they're putting the soul into the woman's womb. So in the same way, the Krishna, he impregnates the womb of the material world by his eyes, just by his eyes. So he's not actually in direct contact with the material world. He just looks at it. He just looks, just a quick glance, puts all the souls into the material energy, and then everything comes into motion. That's pretty amazing, huh? Just by his desire. Okay, let's start the universes now. We'll just start the material creation. He just looks at it, and it just happens. It's amazing. So yeah, no hard work is required, you know, very, very easily. So we're in the opposite situation where we have so many desires and often it doesn't work out the way we want. So what's the best solution? What's the best solution? That our life's not working out the way we want. We're getting frustrated and exhausted. So how can we get out of this vicious cycle? What's the best thing to do?
Hare Krishna.
Yeah.
I don't know. There's not much working in my brain today.
No, that's okay. That's okay. It's 35 degrees. I can't blame you. But no, we should take shelter of Krishna, who automatically his desires get fulfilled. You know, our desires are not getting fulfilled. Okay, so what should we do? We should take shelter of someone whose desires are getting fulfilled. And that's Krishna, you know, because he's so powerful and his desires automatically get fulfilled. He's so strong and so intelligent that automatically whatever he wants happens. So we should come under his protection. We should come under his shelter, and then we'll be okay. And let's look at the essence of Bhagavad Gita is giving this in a nutshell, 1866.
Abandon all varieties of religion and just surrender unto me. I shall deliver you from all sinful reaction. Do not fear.
Yeah, so this is the solution to all of our problems. Just surrender to Krishna. That for unlimited births, Krishna, I have turned away from you for unlimited lifetimes and tried to enjoy without you. I rejected you. I turned my back on you, and I've tried to enjoy separately from you. And it's just brought me heartache and pain and suffering. And now I've come to my senses, and now I want to come back to you. I want to come back to your shelter. I surrender. You know, I surrender. You know, so there's a beautiful verse in the Ramayana. There's a beautiful verse. Sakradeva prapano yas tavasmati chayachate abhayam savara tasmai dadamya aham etadvrata. What does it say? Etadvrata. Dadamya tadvrtam mama. Yeah. Dadamya tadvrtam mama. Saying that the background to this verse is that, you know, about what's the name of Ravana's pious brother? He had one good brother.
It's Vibhishan.
Vibhishan, yeah, Vibhishan. So Vibhishan, his brother's a big demon, Ravana, but he was actually a devotee. And he always wanted to be with on Ram's side. He didn't want to be on Ravana's side. So he left Ravana's side and came over to the enemy's side, Ram's side. But the monkey soldiers, they didn't trust Vibhishan. They thought he's a spy. He's a spy. He's Ravana's brother. So they didn't trust him. And then Ram said this verse, which says, if someone surrenders to me just once, saying that from now on, I am yours, my Lord. I am yours. From that time, I make him fearless and give him all protection. That is my vow, vrata. That is my vow. What is Krishna's vow? What is Ram's vow? What is it? What is God's vow? What is his promise? Vow means a promise.
It says,
so what is his promise?
Whoever surrendered to me will never perish.
Yeah, whoever surrenders to him will never perish. He'll protect them. He'll make them fearless. They'll overcome all the problems. And surrender, as explained in that verse I just said, means when you have that feeling in your heart that I'm yours now, I'm your property, I belong to you, you're my master, I'm your servant. From now on, I'm your servant, and you're my master, I'm yours. So when we decide that in our heart, make that surrender and act in that way as Krishna's servant, then from that time, Krishna will give us all protection. And then our life will work out. We won't end up being frustrated and all these so many things again. And then in more detail, if we want to find out what do we do after we surrender? Okay, Krishna's saying in this verse, surrender. So look at the verse before that, 1865. And that tells you what is the life of a surrendered devotee. What does a surrendered devotee do?
Always think of me, become my devotee, worship me, and offer your homage unto me. Thus, you will come to me without fail. I promise you this because you are very dear my friend.
Yeah. So what more could you ask for? He promises here that you're going to go back home, back to Godhead. You're going to come to live with Krishna forever. And you become very dear friend to Krishna. If you do these 4 things, you become very dear friend of Krishna. And if you're a friend of Krishna, I mean, what more could you ask for? Isn't that amazing? You become a friend. You become God's friend, Krishna's personal friend, if you do these 4 things. If you always think of Krishna. And who's going to always be able to think of Krishna? Can a demon think of Krishna always? No. The devotee, so means with love. The only way you can always think of Krishna is if you have love for Krishna. It means if you're a devotee. So this is what Krishna wants, that we love him. And if you love someone, you always think about them. Like a mother is always thinking about her kids. Mother's always thinking about her baby. But why? Why is she always thinking about her baby? Because she loves her baby. So the only way we're going to be able to get to this point of always thinking about Krishna is if we develop love for Krishna. And that's this whole process of devotional service, is to help us develop love for Krishna by hearing and chanting and remembering him, all these 9 processes, helping us to develop our love for Krishna. And if you love him, automatically, what will you do? You'll be worshipping him. You'll be worshipping him. Like Mother Yashoda loves Krishna so much. When Krishna would come home each day after herding the cows in the evening, before it gets dark, they would come home with the cows, and Krishna Mother Yashoda would offer an arti. She would offer an arti to Krishna when he was returning home from the cows. So this is the life of a devotee. And then bowing down, homage, your homage unto me. Homage means bowing down, means very humble. The devotee will naturally, I'm your servant. Servant means humble, so it means bowing down. That's very natural. That's very natural. God is very great and we're very small. So naturally we feel in the presence of someone very great, like God, naturally bow down. Like when Prabhupada would walk into a room, all the devotees would bow down. It's because he's just so great. And automatically you feel like bowing down when he comes in the room. It's just, you feel so much awe and reverence and so much respect. And bowing down means, you have respect for the person. You're going to bow down to someone you respect. And isn't it like Gulshan could say from Indian culture, like when you see your parents, right? What do?
Bow down.
You bow down because you respect them. You respect. Someone you respect, you bow down. If you don't respect, then, don't bow down. But if you respect, then naturally the result will be you bow down. And if you do these 4 things, he says, guaranteed, you're going to come back to Krishna in the spiritual world. And then let's look at the options of whether we surrender or we don't surrender. 1858, so just come a few verses before. 1858. This is one of my favorite verses. It's very, very important verse.
If you become of me, you will pass over all the obstacles and conditioned life by my grace. If, however, you do not work in such consciousness, but act through false ego, not hearing me, you will be lost.
Yeah, so this is called free choice. This is called free choice. We always have this. You can either become conscious of Krishna, which we call Krishna conscious, or you can forget Krishna. So we forget Krishna. Why? It's said acting through false ego. So this is what causes us to forget Krishna when we act through false ego. What does it mean to act through false ego?
You think you are the one doing, not Krishna, but you say, I'm the one doing. I'm the CEO. I'm Japanese.
Yeah.
I am my 2 words.
Yeah.
This is my house, my wife, my car. I'm the CEO, manager. I'm Japanese, I'm American. I am my 2 words.
Yeah. There's unlimited false egos. I'm a man, I'm a woman, I'm black, I'm white, I'm young, I'm old. I'm an American, I'm a Kiwi, I'm an Aussie. I'm a Christian, I'm a Muslim, I'm a Hindu, I'm a Brahmin, I'm a Vaishya, I'm a Sudra. I'm a, brahmachari, I'm a grihasta. Even those are false egos. Even if you think I'm a brahmachari, I'm a grihasta, I'm a sannyasi or whatever, even ultimately those are all false egos too. Our only real ego is that I'm the servant of the servant of the servant of Krishna. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said that one time. Gopi batu padakamalayor dasa das anudas. I'm a servant of the servant of the servant of Krishna, who is the maintainer of the gopis. That's who I am. He said, Naham vitpro na cha grihapatir na pi vaisho na sudro. Lord Chaitanya said, I'm not a Brahmana, I'm not a Kshatriya, I'm not a Vaishya, I'm not a Sudra. I'm not a Brahmachari, I'm not a Grihastha, I'm not a Vanaprastha, I'm not a Sannyasi. I am a servant of the servant of the servant of Krishna, who is the maintainer of the gopis. So that's our real ego. So in that real ego, we become conscious of Krishna. If you think I'm Krishna's servant and he's my master, then you're Krishna conscious. And if you think I'm a man, I'm a woman, I know everything, I'm a Hindu and I know Bhagavad Gita and everything, or whatever, I'm a Christian and Jesus is going to, save me or whatever, then, that's false ego. You're acting in false ego. We're forgetting Krishna. And he says that if you forget Krishna, then you're lost. He says if you remember him, if you're Krishna conscious, then you'll overcome all the obstacles of this material world. And God, there's a lot of obstacles. There's unlimited obstacles, but if you remain Krishna conscious, then you can overcome all the obstacles. And if you forget Krishna, then you're going to get swamped. Then you're going to be lost. You're going to be.
It's a really great verse, one.
What's that?
It's a really great verse, that one.
It is. Yeah, I find it very.
Just how it's worded as well.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, that's powerful. I'm glad you like it too.
Yeah.
Because it's on one side, it's very encouraging that if you just take shelter of Krishna, you can overcome all the problems. And on the other side, it's very dangerous. On the other side, it's very dangerous because as soon as you forget Krishna, you're gone. You're gone.
Yeah.
So, and actually the scriptures compare the human life to a razor's edge. Razor's edge. So as anyone that knows that uses a razor, you have to be very careful. If you space out when you're using the blade, you just immediately cut yourself. Immediately cut yourself. So a razor can do very good things. You know, you can have a clean shave, but it can also cut you to bits. You know, so you have to be, just like you have to be very, you know, in the present, in the moment, you know, conscious when you're using the razor. Otherwise, you'll have an, you know, accident. In the same way, you know, if we space out and forget Krishna, then we become, you know, cut up by the material energy. So, but yeah, if we can maintain our Krishna consciousness, then we can overcome all the problems. It doesn't, any number of problems, we can overcome them if we maintain it. And actually, of course, that's through chanting the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. And actually, yesterday, Prabhupada's Disappearance Day, one local devotee, Rasika Ranjan, he's actually a disciple of another organization outside of ISKCON, Gaudiya Math, disciple of Narayan Maharaj, and a lovely devotee. We beers and then we did Hare Krishna Kirtan. And it was just so ecstatic. And he was just saying, you know, in Kirtan, we always done Joy on Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parivrata Gacharya Statara Sadhu Shishimad Srila Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada Ki Jai, and then we go through all those ones, Ki Jai, Ki Jai, Ki Jai, Ki Jai, and everything called Prema Jvani. And then he was like roaring out Ki Jai after each one. He was like become so supercharged after the Kirtan. So this is, and then I said to him, yeah, this Kirtan I said is Chaito Darpana Marjanam, and he knows what that means. I said, yeah, cleansing the mind, cleansing the heart. So this chanting of Hare Krishna, it's cleansing our heart, cleaning our heart. And he was saying, yeah, well, after that Kirtan, I'm like supercharged for the next month. You know, it's just cleaned all the cobwebs out. So, yeah, this is the best way that we can cross over all the problems, is just by doing lots of chanting. And japa, you know, by doing your japa, by coming together with other devotees.
Are you losing him, Gulshan?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sort of losing him a bit too.
And, you know, cook some nice. Bhaktivinoda Thakur says that.
Can't hear him.
Yeah, no.
It's a storm on the ocean. Actually.
Pictures are frozen.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. One of them. But he says, when I see four things in my house, I see my house has become Vaikuntha. So what are the four things? Do you know the four things that turn your home into the spiritual world?
Pictures.
Close, yeah. When they're worshipping the deity. Worshipping the deity, whether it's pictures or murtis, it doesn't matter. But yeah, when you see the worship of the deity going on in your house and chanting the holy name and hearing of Srimad Bhagavatam or other scriptures and distributing prasadam, those four things can turn any place into the spiritual world. And immediately we'll be in a spiritual bubble, And yeah, we were all, it was just three of us, Jayanti and ourself and our friend, and we were just chanting together. And we offered a lamp because it's Kartik month. So we offered a lamp to Yashoda Damodar and did some kirtan. And we were all just blissing out after that. We had prasadam. And yeah, we're just blissing out. And that was all the four things. We did all four. And we were talking about Prabhupada. So that's as good as talking about the Bhagavatam. Yeah, so you just do some chanting, talk about Krishna, just do some worshipping and have prasadam. And then any or all of those four things, and immediately you'll feel Krishna's protection and you'll become fearless. You'll become abhayam. You'll become completely fearless. Yeah. That's it from me. Would either of you want to say anything?
Oh, thank you.
Are you all fearless?
Yes, we are.
Gulshan's fearless because he's going to be driving around Australia soon, so he's completely fearless. Because Krishna's always with him. He knows Krishna's always with him wherever he goes. Krishna's always with him. Well, that's exciting. Yeah, I wish you all the best, Gulshan, with your travels starting on the weekend.
Yeah, we'll see.
Right.
Jagannath offers, I'll take it.
Yes.
Yeah. If he just wants to keep me alive, okay. If he wants to keep me out, okay. If you want to keep me in trouble, okay. Everything okay.
Yes, everything's okay for everybody.
Right.
Yes.
All right. Thank you very much.
Lovely.
Bye.
Thanks for coming
Next week,
together.
I'll let you
Lovely to see you.